The space around Viridian Prime burned with dying ships and shattered dreams. Admiral Han Solo stood on the bridge of his command vessel, watching his fleet fall apart piece by piece. The alien warships under his command had fought bravely, but bravery meant nothing against an enemy that learned from every attack. The Void Collective had come without warning. Their biomechanical ships moved like living things, adapting to every weapon fired at them. What started as confident defense had turned into desperate survival. Han Solo counted 12 different alien species in his fleet, each bringing their best technology to the fight. None of it mattered now. Captain Nari of the Altarian battlecruiser Starweaver appeared on his communication screen. Her blue skin had turned pale with fear. "Admiral, we have lost 60% of our ships. My vessel is badly damaged. We cannot hold this position much longer." Han Solo nodded grimly. He had commanded mixed alien fleets for 5 years, earning their respect through careful strategy and tactical skill. The other species had questioned human involvement in galactic warfare at first. Humans were new to space, they said. Humans were too young to understand real combat. But Han Solo had proven them wrong in battle after battle. Today felt different. Today felt like the end. The Void Collective ships moved through space like sharks through water. Their hulls shifted and changed, growing new weapons as needed. Every laser blast they absorbed made them stronger. Every missile they survived taught them new defenses. The enemy learned faster than any computer, adapted quicker than any living mind. "Sir, the Xantheran Dreadnought Dynasty's glory is breaking apart," reported Lieutenant Kim from the sensor station. Through the main view screen, Han Solo watched the massive vessel split in half. Hundreds of crew members spilled into the vacuum of space, their lives ending in seconds. The communication board lit up with desperate calls from surviving ships. Captain Vex of the Thorian destroyer wanted permission to retreat. Commander Zalt of the Catherian cruiser begged for reinforcements that did not exist. Admiral Quix of the Mandorian fleet segment requested new orders that Han Solo could not give. Han Solo closed his eyes for a moment. In his mind, he saw his wife Sujin waiting for him on Earth. He thought of his daughter Minna, only 8 years old, who drew pictures of spaceships and dreamed of exploring the stars. He remembered his promise to come home. "Admiral, what are your orders?" Nari asked again. Her ship shuddered under enemy fire, sparks flying from damaged systems. Han Solo opened his eyes and looked at his crew. They were mostly human, young officers who had joined the galactic fleet to serve their species and their new alien allies. They trusted him to find a way out of this disaster. They believed in his tactical genius, but Han Solo knew something they did not, something the aliens did not know either. He walked to his command chair and activated a special communication panel hidden beneath the main controls. His fingers moved across keys that most humans had never seen. The panel required both his genetic signature and a code word that only 12 people in the galaxy knew. "Sir, what are you doing?" asked Ensign Taemin, his young communications officer. "Something I hoped I would never have to do," Han Solo replied quietly. The hidden communication system connected to a special network that reached far beyond the current battle. It sent signals through space channels that no alien technology could detect or understand. The message was simple, coded in ancient human language that predated space travel. "The children need their parents home." Han Solo sent the message and then destroyed the communication panel. Sparks flew as the circuits melted, ensuring no one could trace what he had done. The secret would remain safe. "Admiral, the enemy is moving to surround us," reported Lieutenant Kim. "They have us trapped against the planet's gravity well." The Void Collective ships moved with terrible purpose. Their biomechanical hulls pulsed with alien life, growing new weapons and defenses with each passing moment. Some ships looked like giant insects with metal wings. Others resembled sea creatures covered in armor plating. All of them hungered for destruction. "Send a message to all remaining ships," Han Solo ordered. "Tell them to form defensive positions around the civilian evacuation transports. We will buy time for the people of Viridian Prime to escape." It was a hopeless gesture, but it was the right thing to do. The alien colonies on the planet below deserved a chance to survive. Children played in those cities, unaware that death approached from the stars. The remaining coalition ships moved into position. 37 vessels out of the original 300. They faced an enemy force of over 800 biomechanical nightmares. The mathematics of destruction were simple and cruel. Captain Nari's voice crackled over the communication system. Admiral, it has been an honor serving under your command. My crew and I will fight to the last breath. Similar messages came from the other surviving captains. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years now stood together in humanity's darkest hour. The young human admiral had united them through his leadership and tactical skill. But leadership and tactics meant nothing against an enemy that rewrote the rules of combat with every engagement. The first wave of Void Collective ships struck the coalition line like a hammer against glass. Energy beams tore through hull plating. Biomechanical projectiles burrowed into ship cores and exploded from within. The enemy adapted to every defensive measure in real time. Hansel watched good officers die on screens around him. He saw brave soldiers make their final stands against impossible odds. The aliens under his command fought with courage that would have made their ancestors proud. "Sir, we are receiving a priority message from Earth Command," reported Ensign Taman. "Tell them we are holding position," Hansel replied. "Tell them the mission continues." He did not mention his hidden message. He could not explain what would happen next because he was not entirely certain himself. The protocols were theoretical, developed in secret by human military scientists who thought differently than their alien allies. 3 hours passed. Ships died, heroes fell. The Void Collective pressed closer to the planet, their adaptive hulls now immune to most coalition weapons. Victory seemed certain for the biomechanical invaders. Then something impossible appeared on the long-range sensors. "Sir, I am detecting spatial distortions at the edge of the system," Lieutenant Kim reported, his voice filled with confusion. "Something very large is moving through hyperspace." Hansel smiled for the first time in days. Deep in space, far beyond the current battlefield, his message had been received. Humanity's greatest secret was about to reveal itself. The children were indeed coming home. 3 years earlier, the human delegation had arrived at the Galactic Coalition headquarters with something that amazed every alien species present. The massive ship that emerged from hyperspace was unlike anything they had ever seen. Where alien vessels were sleek and elegant, this human creation was bold and powerful. The ship was called Taguk, named after an ancient human symbol representing balance and harmony. It stretched over 15 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull covered in strange geometric patterns that served no obvious purpose. The aliens admired its impressive size and the advanced technology they could detect within its massive frame. Chief Engineer Dong Hyun stood in the presentation hall, facing representatives from 12 different species. His simple human appearance contrasted sharply with the exotic aliens around him. Some had multiple arms, others breathed different atmospheric mixtures, and a few existed partially in other dimensions. "Honored delegates," Dong Hyun began in careful, measured words, "humanity presents this vessel as our contribution to galactic defense. The Taguk represents our commitment to peace and cooperation among all species." Ambassador Velk of the Centaurian Republic examined the technical specifications on his datapad. His 4 eyes moved independently as he studied the information. "The power output is impressive for a species so new to space travel. However, we do not understand the purpose of these secondary systems." Dong Hyun smiled politely. "The Taguk is designed for long-term independent operations. Humans believe in self-sufficiency during extended missions." What he did not explain was the true nature of those secondary systems. Hidden within the ship's massive hull were manufacturing facilities unlike anything the galaxy had ever conceived. The aliens saw standard factories for producing spare parts and basic supplies. They did not recognize the revolutionary technology that could build entire starships from raw materials. Captain Nari, then a young lieutenant serving as a technical observer, asked about the ship's weapon systems. "The armament seems limited compared to vessels of similar size from other species. Humans prefer defensive strategies," Dong Hyun replied. "We believe the best weapon is the one that never needs to be fired." The alien delegates nodded approvingly. They appreciated humanity's peaceful philosophy. What they did not understand was that humans had a very different definition of defense. While other species built bigger guns, humans built better factories. The Taguk was assigned to patrol duties in the outer rim of Coalition space. For 3 years, it performed routine missions with quiet efficiency. Captain So Young commanded the vessel with steady competence, earning respect from alien officers who worked alongside her crew. During those 3 years, the Taguk spent most of its time in empty space between star systems. The aliens assumed it was conducting standard patrol routes. They did not question why a human ship needed to spend so much time in areas with no strategic value. So Young stood on her bridge, watching the endless darkness of space through the main view screen. Around her, a crew of 200 humans went about their duties with calm professionalism. They all knew the secret that alien allies could not guess. "Commander Park, status report on the secondary operations," So Young requested. Commander Park consulted his hidden control panel, one that did not appear on any schematic shared with alien allies. "Manufacturing efficiency is at 97%. Current production rate exceeds projected targets by 15%. Estimated completion time is 18 months ahead of schedule." So Young nodded with satisfaction. For 3 years, the Taeguk had been building something in the empty void between galaxies. Using advanced human engineering principles, the ship had created a network of automated factories that operated in complete silence and invisibility. The process was slow but unstoppable. Robots no larger than human hands stripped minerals from asteroids and converted them into construction materials. Artificial intelligence systems designed by human programmers coordinated the work of millions of tiny machines. Each day brought new progress on humanity's greatest project. Dr. Yunji, the ship's science officer, monitored the biological systems that kept human crews healthy during extended space missions. She was also one of the few people who understood the true scope of their secret mission. The psychological profiles remained stable, she reported to So Young during their weekly meeting. "The crew understands the importance of maintaining operational security. No one has spoken about our activities to alien personnel. Humans were good at keeping secrets. Their history was filled with hidden projects that changed the course of wars and civilizations. The Manhattan Project, the development of stealth technology, the creation of global communication networks. Humanity had learned to work in silence while others made noise. The Taeguk's manufacturing systems were based on principles that alien species had never considered. Most galactic civilizations focused on individual excellence. They built single ships that were masterpieces of engineering, each vessel unique and powerful. Humans thought differently. Instead of building one perfect ship, they designed systems to build thousands of good ships quickly and efficiently. While aliens created art, humans created industry. Lieutenant Jae-won worked in the ship's hidden manufacturing control center. His job was to monitor the robotic systems that operated throughout their secret network. Thousands of small factories worked constantly, building components for ships that did not yet exist. "The nanite fabricators are performing beyond expectations," he reported to Commander Park. "We can now produce hull plating at twice the original design speed. The adaptive algorithms are learning to optimize material usage." The manufacturing process was completely automated. Human engineers had designed the systems, but artificial intelligence ran the day-to-day operations. Robots built other robots, which built factories, which built more robots. The cycle continued endlessly, growing stronger with each iteration. So Young walked through the ship's corridors, observing her crew at work. They performed their official duties with the same dedication they showed to their secret mission. The aliens who served alongside them during joint operations never suspected that humanity was building an entire civilization in the darkness. Between stars, the communication systems detected the encrypted message from Admiral Hansol. At the exact moment So Young was reviewing production reports, the simple phrase carried enormous meaning for every human who heard it. "The children need their parents home." So Young felt her heart race with excitement and fear. After 3 years of preparation, the moment had finally arrived. Humanity's secret would be revealed to a galaxy that thought it understood what humans were capable of. "All hands, this is the captain," she announced over the ship's communication system. "Initiate sleeper protocol authorization Alpha 77. Begin awakening sequence immediately." Throughout the ship, hidden panels opened to reveal control stations that no alien had ever seen. Crew members moved to positions they had trained for in secret. The Taeguk began to transform from a simple patrol vessel into the command center of humanity's greatest achievement. In the darkness of space, millions of small robots received activation signals. Automated factories that had operated in stealth mode for 3 years suddenly blazed with activity. Construction bays that had been slowly building ship components for 36 months began final assembly operations. Commander Park monitored the awakening process from his hidden control station. All manufacturing nodes are responding to activation signals. Estimated time to full operational status is 6 hours. So Young smiled as she watched humanity's secret unfold on screens around her. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humans decided to build something in silence and patience. The sleeping giant was waking up. The celebration aboard the Void Collective Command ship was brief and violent. Hive Commander Vorthak absorbed the neural reports from his biomechanical vessels, tasting victory through organic circuits that pulsed with alien hunger. The Coalition fleet was broken, scattered like debris across the void. Vorthak's consciousness existed within a living ship that had grown from genetic templates perfected over millions of years. His thoughts moved through bioneural networks that connected him directly to every vessel in his swarm. The ship was his body, the fleet was his mind, and destruction was his purpose. The human admiral's resistance had been more creative than expected, but creativity meant nothing against evolution. Perfected through endless warfare, the Void Collective had consumed entire galaxies, adapting to every form of resistance they encountered. These young species would join the billions of others that had fed their endless hunger for growth. Sub-Commander Keth, speaking through a cluster of organic communication nodes, reported the fleet's status. Primary targets are eliminated. Civilian evacuation vessels are trapped within the gravity well. Estimated time to complete planetary consumption is 14 hours. Vorthak felt satisfaction flow through his biomechanical nervous system. Viridian Prime would provide raw materials for growing new ships and fresh genetic samples for improving their adaptive capabilities. The collective would emerge stronger from this victory, ready to consume the next system in their path. The sensor organisms that served as the fleet's eyes and ears began reporting strange readings from the edge of the system. Spatial distortions indicated hyperspace activity, but the patterns did not match any known technology. Vorthak dismissed the readings as sensor echoes from their recent battle. Then the first human ship appeared. It materialized from hyperspace with none of the elegant grace that characterized alien vessel design. The hull was angular and brutal, covered in geometric patterns that served no aesthetic purpose. Where alien ships were works of art, this human creation was purely functional. The ship was massive, larger than anything in the collective's database of galactic military vessels. Its hull stretched over 20 kilometers, bristling with manufacturing equipment and construction apparatus. Strange markings covered its surface in languages that predated space travel. Vorthak felt confusion ripple through his bioneural networks. Human vessels were supposed to be small and primitive, suitable only for basic patrol duties. This Leviathan defied everything the collective knew about human capabilities. Before his consciousness could process this development, another ship appeared beside the first. Then another, then 10 more. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of Soul's Fury, watching his ship emerge from hyperspace alongside hundreds of identical vessels. The human fleet had been built in secret over 3 years, hidden in the dark spaces between galaxies, where no alien sensors could detect their construction. Each ship was a miracle of human engineering and industrial efficiency. While alien species focused on elegance and individual excellence, humans had perfected the art of mass production. Every vessel was identical in design, but capable of independent operation and modification. All our ships report ready for combat operations, announced Lieutenant Commander Hyun-Soo from the communications station. Fleet strength is 1,237 vessels, all systems operating within normal parameters. Minho nodded grimly. The numbers were impressive, but he knew the real advantage lay not in quantity, but in capability. Each ship was essentially a mobile factory, capable of producing weapons, fighters, and defensive systems in real time during combat. The human fleet took position above the battlefield with mechanical precision. Their formation was perfect, calculated by artificial intelligence systems that had analyzed thousands of battle scenarios. Each ship knew exactly where to be and what to do. Dr. Yunji watched the deployment from the medical bay of Captain Nari's damaged Altarian cruiser. As a xenobiologist, she understood alien psychology better than most humans. She could see the fear and confusion spreading through the surviving coalition vessels as they tried to comprehend what they were witnessing. "How is this possible?" Nari whispered, her blue skin turning pale with shock. "Where did these ships come from? How did humans build such a fleet without anyone knowing? Yunji smiled sadly. Because we think differently than you do. While your species built beautiful individual ships, we built the systems to build thousands of ships. We are very good at working in secret. The Void Collective's biomechanical vessels began to react to the unexpected threat. Their adaptive hulls shifted and changed, growing new sensor organs to analyze the human ships. Weapon systems that had been dormant during the celebration suddenly blazed to life. Hive Commander Vorthak sent probing attacks against the human formation, testing their defenses with small groups of biofighters. The organic vessels moved like living creatures, adapting their attack patterns based on the response they encountered. The human ships did not respond as expected. Instead of firing weapons or launching fighters, they began to transform. Hull sections opened to reveal massive manufacturing bays. Construction equipment emerged from hidden storage compartments. The ships were literally building defenses in real time. Captain Minho watched the enemy probes approach through his main view screen. Manufacturing Bay 12 produced 50 defensive drones. Bay 7. Begin construction of point defense laser clusters. All ships prepare for adaptive manufacturing protocols. The human vessels worked with mechanical efficiency that amazed even their own crews. Robots that had been building ship components for 3 years now switched to weapons production. Assembly lines that had operated in secret suddenly blazed with activity. Within minutes, each human ship had grown a cloud of defensive drones and weapon platforms. The manufacturing continued, producing new systems faster than the Void Collective could analyze and adapt to them. Lieutenant J. Wan coordinated the manufacturing process from his station aboard Soul's Fury. His screen showed production rates that defied alien understanding of what was possible. Current output rate is 300% above design specifications. The adaptive algorithms are learning from combat requirements. The human approach to warfare was completely different from anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of building perfect weapons before battle, they built the means to build whatever weapons were needed during battle. Adaptability through manufacturing speed rather than biological evolution. Commander Park monitored the enemy's response from the sensor stations. The collective ships are trying to analyze our construction patterns, but we are changing too fast for their adaptation cycles to keep pace. Vorthak felt something he had never experienced before. Uncertainty. His biomechanical fleet had conquered thousands of species, always adapting faster than their enemies could respond. But these humans were not trying to out-evolve the collective. They were simply outbuilding them. The human ships continued their mechanical construction with relentless efficiency. Each vessel produced different types of weapons and defenses, creating a diverse array of systems that the collective could not predict or counter. The manufacturing process was guided by artificial intelligence that learned and adapted faster than biological systems. Dr. Yunji observed the battle from her damaged ship, taking notes on human tactical doctrine for future study. They are not fighting the way other species fight. They are using industrial capacity as a weapon. They are drowning the enemy in production capability. The Void Collective launched their main attack, sending wave after wave of biomechanical vessels against the human formation. The organic ships moved with deadly grace, their adaptive hulls shifting to counter whatever defenses they encountered. But for every adaptation the collective made, the human ships produced new weapons and defenses. Manufacturing bays worked constantly, creating systems the enemy had never seen before. The battle became a contest between biological evolution and industrial production. Captain Minho watched the engagement with calm confidence. Begin Phase 2 manufacturing protocols. All ships switch to offensive production. Time to show them what happens when humans build weapons. The human fleet had revealed itself, but the real demonstration of their capabilities was just beginning. The galaxy was about to learn what industrial warfare looked like when practiced by a species that turned space itself into a factory. The human fleet moved into position above Viridian Prime with mechanical precision. 1,237 massive vessels arranged themselves in perfect formation, their angular hulls blocking the light from the planet's twin suns. The entire world fell into artificial eclipse as humanity's industrial might cast its shadow across the battlefield. Captain So-Young stood on the bridge of the Taeguk, now revealed as the command ship of humanity's secret fleet. For 3 years, she had waited for this moment. The aliens had thought they understood what humans brought to the galaxy. Today they would learn the truth. She activated the general communication system, broadcasting on all frequencies that every ship in the system could receive. Her voice carried the weight of human industrial capability and the quiet determination that had built an impossible fleet in the darkness between stars. Attention all vessels, coalition and collective alike. This is Commander So Young of the Human Federation Fleet. You came to our adopted home seeking conquest. You found war instead. Now you will learn why humans are the galaxy's best at logistics. The communication cut to silence. For a moment, nothing happened. The Void Collective biomechanical ships floated in confusion, their adaptive sensors trying to analyze the threat that had appeared above them. The surviving coalition vessels watched in amazement, unable to comprehend the scale of what they were witnessing. Then the human ships began to work. It started with a low humming that vibrated through space itself. The geometric patterns on the human hulls began to glow with inner light. Sections of armor plating retracted to reveal massive manufacturing complexes that had been hidden within each vessel's structure. Lieutenant Jaewon monitored the fleet-wide production systems from his station aboard Soul's Fury. His screen showed manufacturing output that grew exponentially with each passing minute. All ships report manufacturing protocols active. Current production rate is increasing at 200% per hour. The human approach to warfare defied everything the galaxy thought it knew about combat. Instead of firing existing weapons, the ships began building new ones. Manufacturing bays that had constructed the fleet over 3 years now switched to weapons production with seamless efficiency. Dr. Yoonji watched from the damaged Altarian cruiser, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was observing. The human ships were not just manufacturing weapons. They were manufacturing entire weapon systems complete with targeting computers, ammunition supplies, and defensive support structures. How is this possible? Captain Nari whispered beside her. No species can build weapons this quickly. It takes months to construct military systems. Not if you design everything to be built quickly, Yoonji replied, her voice filled with growing understanding. They planned this. Every component, every system, every weapon was designed for rapid mass production. They turned manufacturing speed into their primary military advantage. The first wave of human weapons emerged from the manufacturing bays like metal rain. Thousands of automated fighters poured from each ship, their simple designs allowing for rapid construction and deployment. Behind them came larger craft, bombers, interceptors, and support vessels that materialized from the production lines with mechanical efficiency. Commander Park coordinated the defensive systems from his station aboard the Taguk. Manufacturing Bay 7 has completed production of 50 defense platforms. Bay 12 is producing energy weapons at rate 300% above original specifications. All systems are operating within acceptable parameters. The human manufacturing process was guided by artificial intelligence systems that had been learning and adapting for 3 years. Every lesson learned during the secret construction phase was now applied to weapons production. The machines built other machines, which built weapons, which built more machines. Hive Commander Vorthak felt confusion ripple through his bio-neural networks. The Void Collective had encountered many forms of resistance during their conquest of the galaxy. Some species relied on energy weapons, others on advanced shields or faster ships. None had ever tried to outproduce them. The Collective's biomechanical vessels began their adaptive response, growing new weapons and defenses to counter the human threat. But for every adaptation they made, the human ships produced 3 new weapon types. The biological evolution that was the Collective's greatest strength could not keep pace with mechanical production. Captain Minho watched the enemy's confusion with cold satisfaction. Begin offensive manufacturing phase. All ships switched to heavy weapons production. Time to show them what human industrial capacity looks like when we really try. The human ships had been operating at minimal production capacity during the initial phase. Now they unleashed their true manufacturing potential. The geometric patterns on their hulls blazed with energy, as hidden factories deep within each vessel roared to life. What had taken the Void Collective months to build, humanity replicated in minutes. Weapons platforms that required biological evolution spanning decades were manufactured and deployed faster than the enemy could analyze them. The humans were not adapting to the battle. They were redefining what battle meant. Lieutenant Commander Hyunsu monitored communications from the surviving coalition ships. Sir, we are receiving requests for tactical coordination from the remaining Allied vessels. They want to know how to integrate with our manufacturing doctrine. So Young smiled grimly. Tell them to maintain defensive positions and observe. This is a human operation now. The human fleet did not rely on the elegant strategies favored by other galactic species. Their tactical doctrine was simple and brutal. Overwhelming material superiority achieved through superior production capabilities. While the enemy adapted to one weapon type, humans built 10 more. The manufacturing process created weapons that no alien species had ever imagined. Human engineers had spent years designing systems that could be built quickly rather than perfectly. The weapons were effective rather than elegant, functional rather than beautiful. Dr. Yunji realized that she was witnessing the birth of a new form of warfare. They are not fighting the battle that everyone else would fight. They are fighting the battle that only humans could fight. They turned their industrial advantages into military doctrine. The Void Collective launched their main assault, sending thousands of biomechanical vessels against the human formation. The organic ships moved with deadly grace, their adaptive hulls shifting to counter whatever weapons they encountered. But the human response was not what they expected. Instead of meeting the attack with existing defenses, the human ships simply built new ones. Manufacturing bays worked frantically, producing counterweapons faster than the collective could adapt to them. Captain Minho watched waves of enemy ships approach his fleet. Manufacturing Bay 15, produce anti-biological warfare systems. Bay 8, begin construction of adaptive shield generators. All ships, prepare for sustained production combat. The battle became a contest between biological evolution and industrial production. The collective's ships grew new weapons and defenses with organic efficiency. The human ships built new weapons and defenses with mechanical efficiency, but machines could be built faster than biology could evolve. The artificial eclipse over Viridian Prime deepened as more human ships arrived, from hidden construction sites throughout the empty spaces between galaxies. Each new arrival brought additional manufacturing capacity to the growing fleet. The darkness was not just about blocking sunlight. It was about demonstrating the scale of human industrial capability. Commander Park received reports from manufacturing centers throughout the fleet. Production efficiency has increased by 400% since combat began. The artificial intelligence systems are optimizing construction processes in real time. We are now building weapons that we did not know we could build. The human ships had become a single vast factory complex, each vessel coordinating with all others to maximize production output. Raw materials were shared between ships, specialized components were traded based on tactical requirements, and new designs were distributed instantly across the entire fleet. So Young looked out at the battlefield, where her fleet was rewriting the rules of galactic warfare through pure industrial might. The Void Collective's biomechanical swarms found themselves drowning in an ocean of human-made weapons and defenses. Phase 3, manufacturing protocols are now active, she announced to her crew. Show them what happens when humans decide to build something properly. The battle ended not with explosions or dramatic final strikes, but with simple mathematics. Commander Hyunwoo watched from the bridge of Inchin's hammer, as the last Void Collective vessels struggled against an ocean of human-manufactured weapons. The biomechanical swarms that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia were drowning in steel and circuits. For every enemy ship destroyed, the human fleet produced 2 replacements. For every adaptive defense the collective evolved, humanity built 3 new weapon types. The organic intelligence that had conquered 1,000 worlds could not match the mechanical efficiency of human mass production. The collective's bio-neural networks, which had operated with perfect coordination for millions of years, began to fragment under the impossible pressure. Hive Commander Vorthak felt his consciousness fracturing as ship after ship was overwhelmed not by superior firepower, but by superior logistics. The transmission came on all frequencies, broadcast from the largest of the remaining collective vessels. The biomechanical translation system struggled to convert alien thoughts into galactic standard language. We yield. The collective requests cessation of hostilities. We do not understand your manufacturing capabilities. This form of warfare is unprecedented. Hyunwoo smiled grimly as he received the surrender. 3 hours of combat had accomplished what the greatest fleets in galactic history had failed to achieve. The Void Collective, Terror of 1,000 civilizations had been defeated by human industrial capacity. "Attention collective vessels," he broadcast in response. "You will power down all weapon systems and prepare for boarding. Any attempt to resume hostilities will result in the complete destruction of your remaining forces. We have the manufacturing capacity to build whatever weapons are necessary." It was not an empty threat. Around him, the human fleet continued its relentless production of war materials. Manufacturing bays that had operated for 3 years in secret now blazed with activity that amazed even their human crews. The machines built weapons, which built more machines, which built better weapons. Captain Nari stared at the aftermath from her damaged Altarian cruiser. The space around Viridian Prime was filled with the debris of collective vessels and the gleaming hulls of human ships that had materialized from nowhere. Her tactical mind struggled to comprehend the scale of what she had witnessed. "Dr. Yunji," she said quietly, "how long have humans been planning this?" The xenobiologist considered the question carefully. "I think they have been planning this since the day they joined the Galactic Coalition. Everything we thought we knew about human capabilities was carefully managed information. They showed us what they wanted us to see. The truth was both simpler and more complex than any alien could have imagined. Humans had not built the fleet to conquer the galaxy. They had built it to defend their new home among the stars. But their approach to defense was characteristically human: overwhelming preparation and industrial superiority. Admiral Han Sol received clearance to board the Tuguk 3 hours after the surrender. His shuttle approached the massive human vessel with its hull still glowing from manufacturing activity. The geometric patterns that had puzzled alien observers for 3 years now revealed their purpose. They were cooling vents for the vast factories hidden within. He found Commander So Young in the ship's central manufacturing control center, a chamber that existed on no schematic shared with alien allies. Thousands of screens showed production rates, resource allocation, and construction schedules that spanned months into the future. "Commander," Han Sol said with deep respect, "I need to understand what I just witnessed. How did humanity build this fleet without anyone knowing?" So Young turned from her monitoring stations, her expression tired but satisfied. "We built it the way humans build everything, Admiral. Carefully, quietly, and with absolute dedication to getting the job done right. While other species were perfecting individual technologies, we were perfecting the means of production." She led him to an observation deck that looked out over the manufacturing bays. Robots worked with mechanical precision, building weapons and ship components with speed that defied comprehension. The production lines had been designed by human engineers who understood that quantity had a quality all its own. "Every human ship in this fleet is essentially a mobile factory," So Young explained. "We can build whatever we need whenever we need it. Other species have to transport weapons and supplies across space. We manufacture them in place." The concept was so fundamentally human that most aliens had never considered it. While they focused on building perfect individual solutions, humans had built perfect production systems. The result was a military capability that could adapt to any threat through manufacturing speed rather than technological superiority. Captain Min Ho joined them on the observation deck, his uniform still showing stress marks from the recent battle. "The Coalition Council is requesting a complete briefing on human military capabilities. I think they are concerned about what else we might have hidden." Han Sol nodded understanding. The aliens who had reluctantly accepted humanity into their alliance were now faced with the reality that humans thought about warfare in ways they had never imagined. The young species from Earth had just demonstrated industrial capacity that dwarfed anything in galactic history. 3 days later, Han Sol stood before the emergency session of the Coalition Council. Representatives from 12 species filled the chamber, their exotic forms and varied physiologies united by shared amazement and concern. Ambassador Velk of the Centaurian Republic spoke first, his 4 eyes focusing independently as he studied the tactical reports. "Admiral Han Sol, we need to understand the full scope of human military capabilities. What you accomplished at Viridian Prime challenges everything we thought we knew about warfare." Han Sol had prepared for this question during the journey to the Coalition headquarters. The answer required careful diplomacy and absolute honesty. "Honored delegates, humanity has brought to the galaxy what we have always brought to every challenge we face: the ability to build solutions rather than merely design them. While your species created masterpieces of individual engineering, We created the means to mass-produce effective tools. The alien representatives exchanged glances filled with uncertainty. Captain Nari, present as a tactical observer, spoke for many of them when she asked the question that weighed on every mind. Admiral, we thought we knew what humans were. We thought you were tactically skilled but technologically limited. We were wrong. What else have we misunderstood about your species? Hansol smiled with genuine warmth. Commander Nari, you understood humans perfectly. We are tactically skilled. We are technologically capable. But most importantly, we are very good at building things. We just chose to build a fleet instead of talking about building a fleet. Dr. Yunji reviewed her notes from the battle, preparing the official report that would become required reading at military academies across the galaxy. The human approach to warfare would force every species to reconsider their military doctrines. The key insight, she wrote, is that humans do not see manufacturing and military capability as separate concepts. Their industrial capacity is their weapon. Their logistics network is their strategy. They have turned the ability to build things into the ultimate form of deterrence. As the human fleet began its journey home, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed by their demonstration, So Young made her final log entry aboard the Tigyuk. Today we showed the galaxy that while other species reach for the stars, humans build the ladders to get there. We demonstrated that the greatest weapon is not the ability to destroy, but the ability to build whatever is necessary to protect what matters most. The artificial eclipse over Viridian Prime had lifted, but the shadow of human industrial might would forever change how the galaxy viewed the persistent species from the third planet of an unremarkable star. They had not conquered through force, but through the simple demonstration that when humans decided to build something, they built it properly. In the years that followed, the phrase human logistics would become synonymous with impossible manufacturing capabilities and industrial efficiency that defied alien understanding. The young species that had joined the galaxy as junior partners had revealed themselves as the masters of turning empty space into whatever was needed. The galaxy had frozen not in fear, but in recognition of what it meant when humanity decided to act.